Welcome, everybody. We'll go ahead and get started now so that we don't run over. So thank you for joining us today. Today's webinar for the Tribal Community Coordinating Center's Policy Platform webinar series will be on tobacco product waste. And I'll start by introducing myself. And you can feel free to introduce yourself in the chat with your name, title, organization that you're working with. My name is Samuel Black. I am the Community Engagement and Outreach Coordinator with the Tribal Community Coordinating Center. We are the Priority Population Coordinating Center for the American Indian and Alaska Native community here in California. I'm originally from Northern Arizona, and I'm a member of the Navajo Nation, and I currently reside on the traditional homelands of the Kumeyaay people here in San Diego. And this is our full team at TCCC. We have Nazba Ben, our director, who presented the webinar series, the webinar presentation on cessation services. Ravina Soto is the project coordinator, and she'll be presenting next week on retail policies. We have Trouble Vasquez, who is monitoring our chat. There are our media specialists. And we also have Tatiana Masters, our project evaluator, and Jacqueline Peters, our staff service analyst. TCCC acknowledges the value of traditional or ceremonial tobacco to California tribes, and we distinguish it from commercial tobacco. Traditional tobacco differs from commercial tobacco in that commercial tobacco is used solely as a product, while traditional use of tobacco is part of a cultural process. And so the focus of this policy platform is on the reduction of commercial tobacco use only. The work that TCCC does and the products that we work with do is critical because the American Indian and Alaska Native community is disproportionately affected by commercial tobacco and the tobacco industry. In California, American Indian and Alaska Native adults had the highest cigarette smoking rate and e-cigarette use compared to other racial and ethnic groups. Among middle and high school age youth in California, American Indian and Alaska Native youth were more likely than the general adolescent population to use tobacco in the past 30 days, which was 19.7% compared to 12.7%. And additionally, American Indian and Alaska Native adults in California reported fewer smoke-free households compared to the general population. And this contributes to greater exposure to secondhand tobacco among American Indian and Alaska Native adolescents than in the general population. Due to this exposure and use, American Indians and Alaska Native communities are impacted by tobacco-related health problems, including asthma, heart disease, lung cancer, and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. The leading cause of death for American Indian and Alaska Natives is cardiovascular disease and lung cancer. And this is all compounded with the historical trauma that genocide and relocation has led, that has impacted tribal communities in California. And this leads to other forms of substance abuse and disproportionately higher rates of depression and other mental health disorders. To show the work that the tribal projects that we work with are doing, this shows the different objectives that they are all working on with each of their names listed. We work with 12 tribal projects and 5 tribal serving organizations. The tribal projects began their first cycle of direct funding in the last several years. And this direct funding is crucial to the development of tribal tobacco projects to build capacity, adapt tools to be culturally appropriate, establish relationships, and generate education and outreach materials. So once this critical work is established, tribal projects can focus their work on their priority policies. And focusing on tobacco product waste, this is a critical concern for the projects and tribes. Tobacco product waste is toxic to humans, animals, and the environment, and discarded cigarette butts can cause destructive wildfires. And so reducing tobacco product waste creates a safer environment for tribal communities. To reduce tobacco product waste, the tribal projects and tribal serving projects focus on community collaboration which includes collaborating with tribal entities, including security, groundskeeping, youth coalitions, and prevention advisory boards. We also work on policy expansion, which includes developing model policies in collaboration with leaders, coalitions, and stakeholders. And they focus on media development, which includes developing ways to litter advertisement, press releases, and earned media. These are the 4 travel projects and 1 travel serving project who are addressing tobacco product waste in their communities. So from left to right, we have the San Pascual Band of Luiseño Indians in San Diego County, the Redwood Valley Rancheria in Mendocino County, the Yurok tribe in Humboldt and Del Norte counties, the Picayune Rancheria of Chukchansi Indians in Madera County, and the Red Medicine Project at Native Star Foundation, who serve Kern, Kings, and Tulare counties. And some of the common needs that these projects have shared in addressing tobacco product waste includes training and empowering youth to participate in tobacco control policies, establishing partnerships and fostering collaboration with tribal governments and other tribal organizations, working with evaluators to develop feedback and evaluation mechanisms that are suited for tribal communities, developing tobacco product waste policy and enforcement strategies that acknowledge and respect tribal sovereignty, and to provide best practices to support tobacco product waste cleanup events. And now to highlight the work of one of our travel projects, I'd like to pass it on to our next presenter, Jaime Gutierrez, who is the project coordinator of the Breathe Again project at the Red Valley Rancheria. So go ahead, Jaime, I'll let you start.
Okay. Thanks, Samuel. So my name is Jaime Gutierrez. I am the project coordinator for the Breathe Again program. So I'm a tribal member from the Redwood Valley Rancheria, which is located in Mendocino County. I've been working for the Breathe Again program since December of 2021. I don't know how many months that is. Let's just say it's about 18 months. I enjoy practicing musical composition and practicing basketball drills with my son. So that's what I like to do outside of work hours. You could go to the next slide, Sam. So the Breathe Again project is a CTCP funded program designed to educate our community about the dangers of commercial tobacco. This includes marketing tactics, targeting, health disparities, and addiction. Next slide. So one of our project goals related to tobacco product waste are, by August 31st, 2025, the Redwood Valley Band of Pomo Indians will implement a 100% smoke-free policy at its outdoor recreational facilities, venues, and areas that are owned by the tribe. As a result, tobacco litter in these areas will be reduced by at least 50% from a baseline that's to be established within the first year of the project. Next slide. So, since the Breathe Again tobacco program has begun, we have been able to get our tribal leadership to sign an outdoor no smoking policy, which excludes smoking 25 feet from all tribal buildings, playgrounds, and recreational areas that are owned by the tribe. And as a result, we figured no smoking by the tribal office should mean no tobacco litter by the tribal office. And this picture right here, this is actually where I'm at right now. I'm up by our tribal water tanks. And I found a can of tobacco chew up here doing just like a random walkthrough. So it just kind of goes to show that there's litter around and stuff. So maybe I should put a sign up here or something. Next slide. Okay, so even though we were able to reduce the amount of tobacco product waste found on reservation land, it is still prevalent. Our program has various signs posted to remind tribal members and visitors of the no smoking outdoors policy. Now on the left here, I have a no smoking sign posted by the basketball courts where the playground is at. And so currently our tribe has a lot of projects that are under construction. So our playground is currently under construction. So there was construction workers in and out. The kids still play there, but we figured we put a no smoking sign there anyway, just so it could be there. On the right side, I was able to post a copy of our policy in front of our learning center so that when we do have visitors, they're aware that the policy exists and is there. And we, even though we have it posted, we still have ashtrays outside just in case somebody, you know, happens to just like not pay attention or see it, just to remind them to like place their waste inside of the ashtrays and not like on our beautiful ground out here. Next slide. We also have had tobacco product waste cleanup days and displays at tribal events to demonstrate the effects of tobacco product waste on the environment. I award the youth with small incentives when they participate in cleanup days. So some of these vapes were found by youth on their own time, and they actually brought it to our office. So on the bottom there, that was one of the Earth Day cleanups we had, and we had some good giveaways. It was like a collaborative effort with the EPA department. We gave them like some natural toothbrushes. They were like bamboo toothbrushes, and these all natural pencils, like a pencil set for the winner who found the most waste. And I have it written down somewhere. I believe we found like over 140 cigarette butts just walking up and down the reservation land. And then on the top there, those were actually two separate vaping devices that the youth found. I didn't even find these. These were actually like some of the members of our youth coalition. And one of them was during our Spirit Run event, which we had a very lot of participation from the community there. So it was kind of nice seeing the kids kind of come out and hand it over to us, knowing that it's a danger. So I'm proud of that. So we were able to give them like some popsicles and stuff. Next slide. And so this was a display that we had for Earth Day earlier this year, and it was a demonstration of tobacco product waste in drinking water. So from left to right, I put 2 cigarette butts in about, I think, 6 to 8 ounces of drinking water. And I put 2 cigarette butts in there. And if you were to go all the way to the right, it was 3 days of cigarette butts sitting in the water. And then the one next to it is sitting in there for 2 days. The first one with the yellow top would have been 24 hours. And then the very first one with the yellow top was, I believe, like 4 or 5 hours. And so I was able to just like display that for the children so they can know exactly like how toxic just 2 cigarette butts can be for that volume of water. And it's kind of just a the visualization for how toxic they truly is. And so that if they see something like that sitting in the creek, this can be what the wildlife up here are drinking, or even their pets or something, you know, if they go down and drink the river water. Next slide. So I like to do these random pickup days where I will walk around the reservation and just look for cigarette litter. If I do find it, on occasion, the youth will come with me. And so on the top corner there, I walk up to the water tank a few times a week, and one of the youth came with me on this specific day, and they were doing construction because they built a new water tank on our reservation, and there was a lot of construction workers here. And when we were walking up there, we actually found an entire pack of cigarettes, and I think there's only like one missing, so someone dropped it. But it's kind of nice that I had the youth with me so that we can see it for what it is, and we're able to discover it, pick it up, remove it before anybody without parental supervision would have been there to possibly take it or something. And on the bottom, I did a cleanup last week just to see, you know what I mean, if there may have been any new waste anywhere. And I actually have found, that's a picture from last week. That's the amount of tobacco product waste that I have found just like on sidewalks and stuff near our tribal offices. So I found one in front of our front office parking lot, around the work sheds. There was, I believe it says 7 of them. And then by our learning center, I had found 3 cigarette butts. And so, I mean, that just kind of goes to show you we have the policy in place. Tobacco litter still exists. I mean, I believe it'd be nice if it was 0, but at the same time, I mean, it's still going to be there. But hopefully what it really means is it could have been way worse if we didn't have any signs posted. Next slide. I also have created educational materials that I've handed out to the community when we have events. I'm thinking about possibly mailing it to them or putting it like in their mailbox or on the screen door just so people can have a copy of it. And I just had found some facts about tobacco product waste that's good for everybody to learn about. And a few of them are that cigarettes are the #1 most discarded item on California beaches and walkways or waterways. Trying to read this from my phone. It's really small. But yeah, basically how the cigarette butts deteriorate, and it takes very long for them to deteriorate. And the cigarette butts are actually microplastics, and they can get into our food that we eat if animals choose to ingest them. And that the vape waste is actually like a 3-in-1 type of waste, which would be plastic waste, hazardous waste, and electronic waste. But we do have educational materials available to like hand out whenever we have booths set up. Next slide. And I believe that's it.
Thank you, Jaime.
Yeah, no problem.
Does anyone have any questions for Jaime or for the policy platform itself?
I apologize if my screen wasn't centered. I'm not used to walking around like holding the phone at my face this long.
I don't see any questions, so we can just keep the conversation going. Jaime, can you talk a little bit about what it's been like to work with the tribal government to develop these policies and try to get them passed?
What our tribal leadership?
Yeah.
It's real like hit or miss, to be honest with you. I know that when we were able to get the outdoor policy approved, I believe that one they really agreed to that one just because of the risk of like fires and stuff, because our tribe there was like a huge fire in 2017. And so I think like the risk assessment of there being like another outdoor fire was really high. And so they believe that reducing the amount of smoking by the buildings could also, reduce the risk of having any additional fires. And I believe that at that time, the council we had, they really wanted some of the younger kids to not be exposed to like the secondhand smoke. So that was a huge thing. And so I'm thankful that they're able to pass that one. One of the things that I really wish we can improve on is like the enforcement of the policy, because we have the signs posted, but we like for our tribe specifically, like we don't have tribal police or anything like that, or we don't have anything set in place as like a fine or a penalty if people choose to not follow the policy, I guess. And what I've noticed is a lot of the tribal members will follow it, but when we have guests that come here, they may not know about it. And so that is the time when we will find litter and people just like smoking freely. But that's kind of like the only issue I really see, to be honest with you. And then, yeah, I'm not quite sure who should enforce it, to be honest with you, because that would be a step with our tribal council. And I'm not sure how they would address it, because like we don't have a tribal court or anything like that set in place. So if there is going to be like a penalty of some sort, I feel like that there could be some outlash from the community, but that's yet to be seen. So I guess that's just kind of like the unforeseeable future here that we might be like looking towards.
Oh, we have another question here in the chat. So what do you do with the waste that you collect?
So for now, the first couple times that we did tobacco pickups, we would just put them in like a garbage bag and throw them in like the trash. But we had a really good idea from our director. And what he has suggested is that when we collect a lot of the tobacco product waste, to basically keep them and keep them away, you know what I mean, where like the kids can't find them or something, and possibly send them to like the big tobacco companies so that they can figure out what to do with it. And that's an idea. We haven't 100% follow through with it yet, but I know that the idea is still kind of like rolling around up here, and so it might actually strike a chord with big tobacco. But for now, I got like a Walmart bag with a bunch of cigarette butts in it, and there's like a little bag that's tied inside of it so the smell won't seep out. But for now, I just have it stored in like a little area by one of the tribal buildings that's kind of away from the garbage cans and stuff, so animals can't get to it. But I'm actually considering the idea my director had is sending them to one of the big tobacco companies. I guess for now it'd just be deciding who and which one. And also we're having another idea too to implement a recycle station just for like vape pens that people may find. And I'm gonna try to look into it with our EPA department, because there are 3 separate components for the plastic waste, for like the container, the hazardous waste for the I think the pod itself, and then the electronic waste for the battery. And so this is something we're thinking about looking into. Like, we brainstormed it, but we haven't like necessarily put up any signs or put any containers out there yet. But I know that the e-waste has to be kept separately, and so that's something that we're going to be looking into here in the future. And so, yeah, I think that might be something.
Does anyone have any other questions? Or does anyone have any ideas for how to dispose of waste?
Oh, nice.
I see the Lou's comment. They've done art with the striped butts. That's interesting. I think also seen like sharks and things made out of them. Maybe that's
Yeah, that's awesome.
you do.
I think during the first year, we had like a contest with the kids before I started just collecting them and having them sitting in a bag. We had a contest with the kids where we wanted to see how many like cigarette butts and stuff and like litter we can find, and we actually had them make artwork, and we actually had some pretty cool like pieces that the youth had made. Like, I think one of the kids made one that looked like Goku, and it's like the cigarette butts were his hair, and then they like sprinkled the ashes like if he was screaming or something like that, like the screams coming out of his mouth, and that was actually pretty cool. And
Yeah, can you talk a little bit more about the work that you do with the youth, like with your youth coalition? I think you mentioned Earth Day cleanup.
Yeah, sure. So when we have the youth coalition meetings, I know that initially it was really off to a great start. The kids were down, super engaged, and we were trying to have the meetings twice a month. And one thing we figured out is better to host them once a month, because I don't want to say they get burned out, but they kind of get burned out. And so I kind of have to work around what the kids enjoy a little bit more, and then it's really just sneak in some good information there. You know what I mean? When after they're tired, like we'll play a basketball game or tag or something, and then when they're too winded to like complain or like give any resistance, then we'll give them some good like feedback and information and stuff. And then for a little while there, I thought they were not retaining it, but the youth that we work with are a lot younger. Like, I wish we had some of the teenagers from our community coming, but they're a little bit younger. They're around 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old children, so they're just kind of really hyper. But I believe the information is getting retained by them, because I'll hear them like at a later time kind of like tell other people about it. And then, like I said, like they had brought those vape pens to us that they found on their own, which I believe, I mean, that was pretty cool to me, because they really didn't have to do that. And I'm surprised that they found it before us. And I know that looking forward to the summer, I think that we're going to have a lot more engagement with them, because when they started school, they went back to their regular routine. And I believe like after they were done with school, they just kind of want to go home. They'd come to see if we had food and then kind of like leave. But now that there isn't really too much to do because school's out, they've been coming down to the office more. And so we're going to work on having a few more activities. Like our education department has put out a calendar. And so we're going to try to add on to that so that we can have like, you know, like little fun days and stuff. Cause like we have a park down the street and I'd be cool to just tell the kids like, let's go like have a baseball game down the road or something. Just kind of take them off the res. I know they like to do things that are off the premises a little bit more. It's like a field trip to them.
Does anyone have any final questions for Jaime or the above questions on the policy platform? So we can wrap up a little early.